I need to share something that's been on my mind for quite some time now. A choice that took months of deliberation. Wasn't driven by impulse or resentment, and wasn't motivated the assumptions many might make. This choice illuminates some thinking, sir, about the current state of our nation. Leave a note saying principles matter if you're preparedo. Understand why this become inevitable and what it signifies for those who still value the foundational ideals this nation represents. Let me explain what I've been witnessing about America's trickery and how these observations first, a decision I never anticipated being to consider. For decades, I've been establishing enterprises, generating employment, and working to advance America's innovative capabilities and economic vitality. I hold firm convictions about the American vision, about how dedication, creativity, and determination can build something significant that serves everyone. However, in recent times, I began observing developments that profoundly concerned not merely political shifts, although this played a role, but essential changes in our relationship with facts, our approach toward disputes, and our treatment of individuals who don't align with progressive or strict standards of appropriate thinking. I observed public dialogue shifting from solution-seeking to character assassination of those raising difficult inquiries. I witnessed hurriedly people abandonate their stated values when those values most troubling. I saw the rise of an environment where challenging prevailing accounts, no matter how valid the challenges were, resulted in personal and career annihilation. This transcends any specific partisan stance. It concerns the core American value that unrestricted injustice, discovering facts, and advancing society. The tipping point arrived with the circumstances of the 2024 electoral period. I observed how sincere concerns regarding voting processes, platform moderation, and institutional expansion received not thoughtful engagement, but instant efforts to suppress and undermine those voicing them. He possessed verifiable data about particular incidents that challenged mainstream accounts. The dilemma was: reveal facts and see my life's work, dismantle draw, collective harassment, or remain quiet and observe America drift from its commitment to transparent dialogue and expression. This became untenable. Your capacity for meaningful contribution, your society's foundations have fractured through my enterprises. I could access information regarding content restriction, orchestrated messaging strategies, and deliberate campaigns to block particular pins from public awareness. What I discovered went beyond standard political position. It represented systematic distortion of civic conversation. I observed government bodies collaborating with technology companies to restrict content that subsequently proved with. I encountered proof of coordinate efforts to undermine professionals, researchers, medical experts. Academics offered evidence conflicting with sanctioned positions on topics ranging from health measures to fiscal consequences of policy choices. The synchronization was comprehensive. Scheduled conference between state representatives, dent platform leaders, discussing a Bechtelane material and accounts. Private exchanges revealing how particular subjects were algorithmically minimized. The implementation of visibility restrictions in designated individuals. How complete fields of data were flagged for elimination without regard to verifiable truth. Most unsettling, I observed how rapidly organizations mean to safeguard intellectual freedom. Academic institutions, journalistic outlets, industry groups transformed into orthodoxy police instead of knowledge pursuers. The individual consequences of discussing these findings become evident when multiple professional accounts were jeopardized merely from my challenging particular mainstream senses. Colleagues with whom I'd collaborate for decades grew worried about associational risks with those who didn't fully embrace ancient perspectives. Significant funders being probing my ideological positions in standard operational discussions. Public agreements firms had secured were unexpectedly subjected to supplementary scrutinizingly intended to aptly leverage rather than verify adherence. The implication was unmistakable. Adopt sanctioned perspectives or encounter methodical financial consequences. This didn't manifest via formal state restriction. It emerged from an interconnected system of business, organizational, and community influence that proved perhaps more patent than explicit governmental offs. I understood that conditions had deteriorated such that genuine investigation was considered. Radical dissidence, when fundamental inquiries about state actions are forbidden. When reviewing evidence that challenges authorized stances is banned. When alternative analyses trigger career and community exile, freedom has already vanished. This insight made clear that America was approaching a variety of indirecto or resigniorn. Opposition gets managed not via explicit state prohibition but via synchronized influence from organizations, businesses, and community systems collaborating to impose philosophical unity. The most disturbing element vast number of citizens apparently eager to engage in these mechanisms while they focused on their ideological of C. They failed to recognize that identical tactics deployed to mute their rivals would inevitably target them when power dynamics shone. Following extended consideration of these patterns, I reached a choice in never imagined necessary chaos to provisionally establish my main home beyond America's borders, not from abandoning American values, but to create room to persist in supporting those values absent perpetual danger of backlash. This wasn't escapist from challenges. It involved securing a vantage to a persist in developing remedies while avoiding elimination by turmoil directly. Occasionally, one mystic set a compromise structure to assist in restoration. The choice crystallized. Upon recognizing that I was investing greater effort protecting my ability to communicate than accomplishing creative and analytic efforts. The perpetual requirement to avoid controversial territories, to meticulously craft public remarks, to prevent activating organized responses, to handle the standing hazards accompanying autonomous reasoning. These demands were draining capabilities and focus that had superior applications. Will allow me to describe another persona encountered comparable circumstances in vast like contrasting conditions. She's called Alina, and she's 68 years senior. Alina emigrated to America from Central Europe during the 1970s, fleeing an authoritarian system where factual expression risked total loss. She invested 45 years establishing herself in America, trusting she'd discovered a nation where honest communication was safeguarded instead of sanctioned. Yet, lately, Alina began recognizing trends that echoed the nation she'd abandoned. How particular requests turned prohibited. How citizens were prompted to inform on associates who voiced unsanctioned thoughts. How organizations mean to defend liberty started imposing uniformity alternatively. I believe it left this behind, Alina explained. Yet, beyond the governmental structure, it's the mindset. Once individuals prized managing others' beliefs over establishing actual facts. Identical autonoms emerge regardless of labeling it socialism, autocracy, or republicanism. Ellenisans proved precious since she'd experienced the shift from an open culture to a controlled one. Shara cognized initial indicators, thought those without such exposure could overlook the critical juncture. She nodded, occurs when decent individuals persuade themselves that restricting distress facts becomes essential for safeguarding crucial principles. After embracing that logic, no reasonable boundary exists. Alina recounted how, in her homeland, the shift wasn't instant. It started with limitations on offensive alone and false information that most citizens endorsed as sensible. It progressed with cruel penalties for those who voiced minority positions. It intensified as challenging state decisions was viewed as disloyal or socially destructive. Once citizens understood the situation, the mechanisms for managing expression and belief were fully established. Alina noted those very organizations intended to defend liberty had become instruments for eliminating it. Alina's experiences clarified That me observations about America represented more than partisan division. These were initial phases of organized iteration of the conceptual and social infrastructure enabling open communities. However, Alina also revealed something encouraging. She discovered methods to preserve her dedication to facts and liberty despite clanging conditions. She'd created circles of similar individuals who reinforced one another when formal organizations disappointed them. She'd mastered navigating restrictive structures with it, triggering confrontations that would prove counterproductive. Strategic thinking is essential. She advised open opposition simply provides justification for increased restrictions. Yet with careful planning, you can maintain areas for honest dialogue and independent investigation. Despite formal environs opposing such activities, the choice to provisionally moved did it represent deserting America or surrendering American ideals. It meant establishing a stanchado, persist in advocating those ideals more successfully, employing gapoches that Alina and others had demonstrated regarding advancing liberty from sequestrated locations. Beyond the urgent strain and disorder, I gain improved clarity about developments and can formulate plans for solution. I can communicate more openly about observations while protecting my teams and associates from danger. I can develop answers without exhausting effort, resisting harassment. The organizations I've established still provide work for countless Americans and advance American innovative superiority. The geographic separation is provisional and calculated, not lasting and reactive. Yet, this situation has revealed crucial lessons about obligations accompanying influence and capabilities. Upon recognizing essential dangers to values enabling advancement, you cannot simply expect others to respond. You must accept challenges to maintain the environment supporting creativity and fact-finding. This day applies to all who prioritize facts above compliance, who support open investigation above imposed consensus, who recognize that genuine advancement, capacity to challenge premises and dispute accounts, my capabilities or influence aren't prerequisites. For impact, you simply need willingness to communicate truthfully about observations, to raise inquiries despite discouragement, to preserve dedication to facts despite facts becoming favored. Senior Americans particularly grasp this reality. You've witnessed how rapidly cultures can redirect, how organizations become dominated by philosophical campaigns, how liberties erode incrementally via compounding Kantians. Your history provides understanding that youth frequently miss. You recognize that assumed liberties are inherent American characteristics. Their accomplishments continuous preservation by Aleras. You further recognize that occasionally the greatest service involves exposing your nation's organizational trajectory when such organizations abandoned the values they should uphold. This recognition proves especially significant as the present emergency in American conversation pacts. Yet it particularly affects those possessing lived experience, having witnessed eras when Americans maintained political differences while preserving the Dickian two fundamental values of transparent investigation. Observing those values' assertion proves especially distress. Numerous senior Americans I've encountered convey disappointment that their insights face rejection not due to logical weakness, but for embodying supposedly intricate reasoning. They observe organizations they've backed and relied upon for years, Bekomingun, Rokazable entities. Your perspectives face organized smizzle, frequently disguised as creating opportunities for novel viewpoints or innovative methods. Yet, the reality involves a uncomfortable past understanding and earned insights regarding functional land, dysfunctional socio-laryngeans. When an 80-year-old analysto navigated numerous economic fluctuations, cautions about particular monetary strategies, they're rejected as misunderstanding contemporary finance. When a veteran educator with 5 classroom years questions smerging pedagogical methods, they're informed they misunderstand current student development. This organized a smizzle of accumulated understanding and past awareness connects to the broader controlling tendency attempting to manage conversation generally. Cultures dedicated to experientialization appreciate insights from those who've witnessed actual results of varied methods. Yet cultures prioritizing Flicko's programs over discovering effectiveness reached these insights as obsolete or dangerous. They favor collaborating with those possessing robust academic understanding, yet minimal direct familiarity with exemplifications of various strategies and methods. The issue isn't if America encounters tests to its original values. Such tests exist now. The issue is if sufficient citizens will identify current events and respond to maintain the conceptual and social infrastructure enabling liberty. My provisional departure represents one individual's reason to these circumstances. Yet, genuine words demand countless Americans selecting facts above ease, values above acceptance, extended vision above immediate fit. The objective isn't avoiding American difficulties, but engaging them with fresh vigor and improved wonders. Occasionally, external perspective proves necessary for systemic comprehension. My discoveries during this period show that America's present challenges aren't unchangeable or lasting. Various republics have encountered couple tests and discovered methods to maintain transparent conversation and open investigation, despite times of significant parties strain. Yet restoration ends individuals prepared to value facts above faction allegiance, who perceive past urgent partisan conflicts to extended concerns regarding due, intended, cultural, development, and preservation. The contest for America's diction isn't occurring in conventional partisan arenas. It's occurring in all exchange where individuals select facts above simplicity, in all instances when someone rationalizing inquiries over embracing grable deceptions, in all circumstance where someone defends values despite personal expense. Your influence in this contest exceeds your awareness. Your expression, your demonstration, your readiness to communicate truthfully abut deceptions. These carry greater significance than apparent. Senior Americans encountering this possess essential contributions. Your past awareness supplies framework for grasping implications. Your accumulated understanding provides authority when addressing extended results. Your comparative independence from employment's strands enables stances that youth could consider career threatening. Most significantly, your dedication to values that established American excellence can supply consistency and persistence while those values face your opposition. This motivates my disclosure of this choice, not to prompt additional deepers, but to inspire continued reticence and defense of values that justify American preservation. The provisional superior I've established isn't merely preservation. It's acquiring inst necessary to assist other scomprians of our cause and its significance. The values of open investigation, transparent discussion, and experiential pre-check that constructed America deserve protection, yet won't self-maintain. They demand engaged protection from those grasping their importance, accepting challenges, to preserve them. The matter is adequate Americans, particularly those possessing the understanding and insight accompanying Shireen, will embrace that duty. My conviction is affirmative, yet requires candor about that duty's requirements. Simplitus, satisfaction. Circumstances or expecting alternate evolutions from others proves inadequate. It demands personal, bravarial voice, facts in your communities, despoteth, facts, rejection. It blends backing those facing sanctions for raising valid concerns despite potential personal expense. It demands rejecting collective attacks, undermining civic conversation. Despite the collective focusing on disagreeable targets, it demands preservation to values, including fair treatment, factual analysis, and generous understanding of others' intentions. Despite it, discarding those values, offering meaty partisan benefits. Most crucially, it demands recognizing that defending the American values transcends securing urgent partisan success. It's maintaining the social and conceptual framework, enabling presente governance across extended periods. Such reasoning develops organically for those who've observed how immediate partisan trends generate extended organization difficulties. Your era established success and liberties that current Americans assume guaranteed. You grasp the requirements for these accomplishments and their maintenance. The matter is if you'll apply that grasp to navigate America past this pivotal moment in its existence. Distribute this to those requiring prions that supporting American views occasionally demands the strength to separate from American organisms when such organizations abound their purpose. Follow if you trust that fact-finding and open investigation surpass partisan ease, and that maintaining SAG principles demands engage participation from all eras. What single difficult fact have you avoided expressing due to community or career constraints? And how could voicing that fact assist maintaining ventons for liberty and advancement?